Sunday evening crypto sniper hat on today. Why wear three hats? Why wear one hat when you can have three? And currently not wearing any hats at all. But it's the crypto sniper one in invisible mode now coming at you. And we're talking about crypto. And I want to update a number of people on something that's gone down recently. So it's quite interesting. We've been dealing with this in our community quite extensively, and we're expecting a turnaround in crypto. In other words, a point where it's going to inflect and turn down. This is, at the end of the day, Bitcoin that I'm talking about. This is the God market, and you'll learn a couple of things if you choose to join us. And that's, you've got to know where the big boy is heading. There is a God market in crypto. Unfortunately for everybody else in the other crypto sphere, Bitcoin sits at 160 billion market cap. The next biggest is sub 21. So 160. So that is 8 times larger than Ethereum's game. And this is something I have to keep hitting home on, and that many people battle with. Even in our community, we start finding setups on Tezos, Chainlink, the newbie coins that are buzzing and flying as Bitcoin has been moving. And the setup may be good, but if the God market turns, they all get shut down, because you may have a small delay. It's not like instantaneous, but in general, until we have an alt boom, which was very specifically a bull mega blow off market phenomenon. Everybody thinks 2017 is the normal. That was when they participated. That was when they were the happiest. That is the new normal that they want. And they all want Redux 2017. And I'm here to tell you that, sorry, actually, it's quite an exceptional event, 2017. And you may never see it again in crypto. You may see it one more time. You may see it coming not too distant future. But the point is, it's not the expectation that you should have. If that's the only ever time you make money in the net period over crypto markets, you're going to give it all back in the next bear, just like everybody has done. How many people have I known that had 10, 20, 30, 50, hundreds Bitcoin valuations in the top of the bull markets that now have 3, 4, 5, or are butt hurt and got out, or just sitting with a small amount of cash, or hodling on a significantly lower amount after repeatedly trading incorrectly and inaccurately during this period? So, point number one. And I'm getting lots of feedback on my channel. I will not make everybody on this channel happy, or my Market Sniper channel for that matter. That was the feedback of the recent vids. Too many jokes, taking too long, doing this, whatever the case may be. I'm going to give it to you how I want to give it. Today I'm in bullet mode, and I want to say a few things simply and quickly. Quick hit number one. Spend 85% of your time on crypto analyzing Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Very little else. In fact, I would actually say 100%, but I know one or two of you, just every now and then, if you get a certain unique situation, you just don't think it's real. So I'll leave that door open for you. But if you come on board, we understand what the boss does first. And there's so many ways to do it. In this video tonight, I'm going to make a case for why you shouldn't be measuring Bitcoin. And there's so much that can be done on Bitcoin that people aren't doing. That's why they get no true insights. You've got to, in a game where the entire game may only tap out, total market cap at 200 billion, you've got to understand what the 160 billion coin, the absolute gorilla in the changing room, is absolutely doing, because that's who's getting a slap, that's who's getting beaten up in the change room. That's who's the boss is, sitting in the corner, and he's big ass and hairy. And whilst this is exceedingly small compared to the absolute gazillion debt bomb that's running into mega trillions in our fake but real world, as we look at our crypto virtual reality, you've got to understand what the big guy is doing. I'm going to make a case to you today that most people spend all their time, 50% of their time on alts, less than 50% of their time on Bitcoin. They're always looking at Bitcoin against the dollar, forgetting, like an FX pair, that there's two elements to this. and not comparing it, A, against other currencies, and B, against other asset categories. Why have we got it in our head for now that Bitcoin is actually a currency? How many things you bought with Bitcoin today? How many things you've bought with Bitcoin this week? How many merchants of the global retail world are offering you a Bitcoin alternative? Yes, there are some. Yes, there are some. What proportion in global revenue is being taken in Bitcoin by businesses with people buying? Would you like to think and have a little wee guess? All the Netflix payments, the Amazon payments, all the oligarchy. What percentage do you think is actually Bitcoin passing? I'm here to tell you, for now, and yes, it's meant to be this medium of exchange, rada. I'm telling you for now, it isn't a medium exchange. Not on any significant level. It isn't a medium of exchange. In fact, I'm going to make the case to you that right now, Bitcoin itself is more of a high volatility store value. Sounds like the wrong word to say after high volatility. High volatility, speculative market for people that want to retire well or to move up to the next level well. In other words, it's high risk asset category for wealth building. That's truly what's happening. That's truly what most people's outlook is. In the old days, you had the bond market and you had the equity market. When people wanted to make money, they looked at the higher volatility, better long-term asset accumulation, wealth building, more volatile assets underlying. And that was equities. You wanted stability, you wanted incremental income and growth, you had a bond. That was the old world. In our new world, we've got a new high volatility, potential long-term wealth building tool for us. But it is exceedingly high beta. It makes equities look calm. And that's saying that after the American indices just crapped 30% in a single day, or 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week. I don't even know for sure. I'll have to check. But the point is, what you have now is a new high beta asset class that can be utilized as a medium of exchange, but has no reference of any real stability that people know whether it's a good time to be selling. And if the speculative view and opinion is that it's long run going to go up, it becomes a hold asset. In other words, most people will rather spend their fiat and get rid of that they see as dying and hold the asset class that they see as likely going up. So I ask you, why are we comparing this to dollars? If you've got to pay for something, you're going to pay for dollars and hold your Bitcoin. Unless, of course, you leverage long in the stock market when it drops 30% and now you're absolutely in the red and you're getting calls from your broker and margin exchanges and you need instant liquidity fast. Then you crap the bed and sell your Bitcoin at the same time along with all the others as a forced seller. Those unique high risk, high liquidity items that can be made liquid quickly, moments aside, Bitcoin is, for most people, a hold asset. That's why we have the term HODL. Some think they can trade, most destroy value, and we'll come back to that. They lack method, they respond emotionally, they chase things that pump. They're prone to the new shiny item, which is why McAfee has way more followers than I do. It's why Chicken Tikka, Tiwari, whatever his name is, will have way more followers than the everyday common sense crypto individual. And it's because shiny new things. The 5 next new coins to make you a millionaire. This is the clickbait of the poverty brained. This is the clickbait of the poverty brain, and we all go and hunt it. And let me say to you, as the 200 or the 160 billion asset class, Bitcoin, when the big institutional money, as it has started in a small essence, but when it starts to come in on any real scale, it will not come into $1 million market cap number 93 on the coin market cap. Yes, there will be one or two penny stock heroes. Forget trying to chase them down. You don't know unless you've heard that Venrock, the Rockefeller Foundation, is invested in them. I wouldn't bother. Play the main game. The big money will come where the big brand is. In the beginning, and I'm not a maximalist. I'm not a believer in a maximalist. I've said to you here right now, I don't like the fact that Bitcoin writes every transaction on the back of the note. That ain't fungibility. I'm interested in the Bitcoin with the privacy in the long term. I think that's going to be the rotation area that will do well, which is why I've mentioned privacy coins. And one of the longest standing, I've mentioned Monero for example. And I'll touch on people like Fluffy Pony and others when we come to the 10 most trusted. That's right, the 10 most trusted people in crypto. And I see there some interesting faces that I wouldn't necessarily say belong there. And I see some maybe that I should pay some dues and respect to. But we'll get to that in a minute. So back to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is your god market. Everything else of the alts will follow. And yes, you had a period when EOS absolutely went counter trend for a while. Recently listed, raised an absolute fortune of money, and they kept it pumping, and they queued up a hype train of PR releases into the next 18 months, and this and that new find and that new win, and chasing up their own coin potentially, who knows, and everything. Suddenly in the biggest bear market, EOS was the new star. How's it doing now? Well, guess what? Let's have a look at the coin market cap. How did EOS do? Down 13 with Bitcoin down 10. Seems very much like the rest of the market and correlated nowadays. Can you see what I'm saying? This is why I have suspicion about newly released coins that are still flush with cash. And I'm thinking of Tezos there. This is completely non-fundamental assessment. This is the non-white paper's view. Don't read the white paper. Watch what happens in the money. Some things that are being pushed up and being held up early after they've just released and have a ton of money in there, where they know showing relative strength, they know a hype train will keep the people following in, will last for a while, and then later on, when that money burns out and the dev teams are slowly, consistently chewing through that which has been raised, that's when you see the real world and the real value of the coin. And everyone so far has not held up beyond this test. So I'm not saying don't read the white papers. I actually do, and I enjoy them, and it's interesting. But I wouldn't spend my time focusing on that. If it's a new coin, it's unproven entity. So this is why we talk about, for now, Bitcoin dominance. And I've probably done one of the most YouTube reels about Bitcoin dominance that I know from anyone else. And we've traded and we've biased it. We kept you in the bear market out of altcoins if you took our opinion. And we're non-advisory. We said, this is what we're doing. And we suggested out. I actually repeatedly, so many times, said short Ripple relative to Bitcoin. If you go back to my catalog on this channel, I've always biased against Ripple, the perpetual, ICO, continuing releasing and attempting to get diluting with more and more tokens. Technically, I showed you why. Technically, we showed it on the charts, and it's continued to be proven true. It was holding on to 33 cents, holding on to 30. We'll go have a look at some of those now when we do the charts. But this was a key opening statement, and the one point I want to hammer home is, initially, it's all going to be about Bitcoin, because real money needs liquidity. Real money needs liquidity. Also, the bulk of the derivative markets that have been forming have invariably strong Bitcoin liquidity. If you're on BitMEX or any of the new versions thereof, the liquidity on Bitcoin is the best. I know that they've added some alts. You'll find a handful, normally of 3, 4, or 5, depending on what it is. But the point being, those will not give the same leverage, and they will not have the same liquidity as Bitcoin. So that is the dominance for now. And it can and quite possibly will change. I actually, unless they bring in a suite of privacy and deal with that fungibility, I almost hope it will. But I am here to tell you how the world is now And that means you've got to play it that way until such time as it changes. So anyone who calls me a maximalist or a believer is getting me wrong. I'm ready to embrace the next. But you've got to follow the liquidity. And when new money comes in, it will follow the liquidity, whether you agree with me or not. And that is proven. Okay, first point. So, why are we treating it as a currency if actually it's a speculative builder of wealth tool, like the equity markets? Well, let's have a look at Bitcoin against other things. This is why I say all the analysis should be on Bitcoin, but it shouldn't all be Bitcoin against the dollar. The dollar has its own issues and problems. Whenever you're looking at an FX short, the GBP CAD, you want to know why you want to go long pound and why you think CAD is going to be weak. So why are we not asking questions about the benchmark for which we're measuring Bitcoin? Why, if it's not actually being turned over that often in currency transactions and people are seeking to hold it for appreciation, are we not comparing it to an asset that people invest in for wealth building as well? So right here, right now, in my most belligerent form, I am showing you the weekly chart of the Dow Jones Index. That is America's biggest 30 equities, and I'm dividing it by Bitcoin. In other words, what's the Dow value? What's the Bitcoin value? Right there, right now, for me, is a continuation pattern in the process of building up, possibly even maybe irregular break might have occurred, but I feel more in the process of building up for a further downside move. So what are these variables? This was the Dow's value way back when Bitcoin first came out. Let's say it was $1 or $2 and the Dow was 8,000 at the time. This is then dividing the Dow by that increasing single value of Bitcoin. Now, most people can't see sell-offs. They only can see longs. That's because you have bull bias. We're here to help train you to get out of that. There's links below. Book in and have a chat. You'll understand why all my guys, as they learn, have an inversion template on their trading view for every trade they're contemplating taking. That's right, an inversion template. Here is one right now, and this is one of the most useful things we do. That is the SPY. That is the S&P 500. You can do it for any indice. There is no right answer. You can see how many times more valuable the SPY was. It was 56 times a single Bitcoin way back then. You can see this chart's gone absolutely parabolic and is now in a fractional area. You can see at the last bull market high, following the halvening that happened just before that, it reached a high 0.16. That means the Bitcoin value divided into the SPY no longer is even 1. It's barely 16%. The SPY value is barely 16% of Bitcoin. So we bring it forward into where we are currently. This is a log scale chart, good people. This is a log scale chart. So let me just drop this down to around 3 days, and we're going to squeeze this little piece in over here. So now we're comparing Bitcoin, not in dollar terms, but in the basket value of the S&P. This is an interesting asset class category. What you'll see is we had a couple of periods. We had a tightening as we spilled down from the RH1. This is our high one. This is your $20,000 mega valuation at the peak of the bull. Let me get my drawing tool up and you can see it. And you can see that was our blow off bull market high up top here. Now I've put a fib over there and I've run you all the way down to the low that occurred. That was your fib low. This was the short that we called when everyone else was bottom calling that led to a subsequent spill. Note how it's very nicely nestled just above the 50% and you broke the 50% down. Then you got the rising breakout that took you out of the blood basement of the 23.6 back up into the bull, and you made 78.6%. You went past it. There it is here. It's the blue line. You can see you went past it up top there. on those shooting stars, on bigger time frames, we once again warned people that it's biased to downside that you need to have. Once again, we warned people. And you had an inverted HVF, first in a new trend that occurred there. We said you're going to see 6,700 out of that down break. It broke, it spiked and rallied, only on the S&P, not as much. This is on the S&P, remember, no longer the dollar, and you met the target. That was the 6,800 on the dollar target, round about there. You then had an inverted head and shoulders, just like you're seeing here, and you had another rally. And you visited the top of this broadening structure for the third time. The top of this broadening structure. Note on the down leg, log scale wise, there and there, you were squeezing into this and you spilled down on the inverted HVF. Now you're broadening into a down leg. You are at the high point here. What happened? The equity market died. The same people that are heavy over-leveraged speculators in the real world are also playing with speculative Bitcoin. They're not buying it to make purchases on the dark web, an AK-47. No, they're speculating on it to make money, hoping it will go up. And it's something liquid that they can buy and speculate in, and there's exchanges that'll give them leverage. The same retail traders and some even professional traders and possibly even some institutions were forced out with this big sell-off low. This took you to the 4,000 on Bitfinex and below that on certain exchanges. That was, for me, your second required low. This was a very strong rejection. And what ended up happening is you broke out of, in other words, we have completed the down leg from our high 2 to our low 2. This, as we have always said, before anyone else even thought of this concept, we said to everybody, this is a weekly setup of continuation. Everybody over here was going new highs, all-time highs. Why? Because the only way Bitcoin went up before then was like this. And therefore, it will always go and be that way. And then suddenly you got that. And everybody was confused because apparently there's only one form of technical analysis. Bull market, overshoot, downshoot, over or undershoot emotionally, bottom out, new bull, new all-time high, repeat infinitum. Sorry, it isn't that easy. If that's the extent of your technical analysis, you need to think again. History will rhyme, but it will not repeat exactly, and that's what everybody has expected. So you are at your too low after your too high. You've been in a broadening pattern that you've finally broken out of. This confirms to me that we are having our third impulse up leg, and it ran into key critical levels that we had marked out in our research and study, and we said this will likely fail soon. It was quite ambiguous during this rising wedge structure. It could have bitten you and gone down. We traded an upside HVF over here. Let's use the draw tool very gingerly. We chose Ethereum, haven't been utilizing Ripple, but also not mentioning Ethereum could be utilized to short against. That's right. Throughout the bear markets, we chose Ethereum on this long period because it had better structure. It made its target. Bitcoin limped on and didn't quite do it. And that was over here. This was the key value of, once again, method. Bitcoin didn't make it in the first ask. It came back and it wound up again for another one there. I'll use the arrows next time, it'll be better. So that was a wind up from Bitcoin. We traded long on Ethereum. It broke the target. It gave us a great reward. We came back for this one. It drifted, made us a bit jumpy, nervous, and then pushed up and ran through all targets. When it was drifting here, it was actually at the full target of this original pattern and the second interim of this pattern. And that is why it treaded water for a lengthy period. It was a key level of significance that needed clearing out. That's what happened, good people. And then we came to the recent setup. And the recent setup was, it wasn't the best quality. It was a tad grindy. Let's show you that in a lower time frame. Because this, by understanding where you've been and what's been happening, you'll understand where to next. So, falling wedge, grinding up. Falling wedge, grinding up. So you had a falling wedge, you could have had a nice impulsive break. Instead, down you come and you kind of ground along. Then you came in a channel back. The channel back was almost steeper than the gradient up. Then you went into a new channel up. You had that little slightly skittish day over here. No follow through, and you went back to grinding along the grind line here. And that's slightly misaligned because we're in logarithmic, we're in regular. If you go to log, I think it'll line up a little bit better. And so you were on this escalator all the way through until you made the HVF target and kissed the 10K just by the same HVF laws that say key level of significance, always just run if you have a target near there too. And at that point, beautiful people, because you are all beautiful and we're all learning and we're all getting things wrong together, you realized that that is probably your top. We are waiting. We were hoping for a double digit, and we were waiting for our third high because we had broken the broadening structure of the down leg from the high 2 to the low 2. And we've been waiting for the rally. You got a snapback rally out of that 4K low. A lot of it was just panicked money, and a lot of value came in. And we said that, I think, is probably the best value buy. It was even better than a year earlier at 3.2 because you could have sat out all the nonsense and got in just $800 quicker at that point. Probably the best buy you'll never have again. But you will have a good buy chance again, and that'll probably be the last time from whence it starts an up move that it will surpass 10K, and I suspect potentially never see it again. And I've listened to many people say that, and I've said they're going to be wrong. So I'm playing with the devil by saying never say never, and I'm saying that next low that is coming now will probably be the last. That doesn't mean it can't take its time at the bottom, but once it starts its move up and breaks that 10K properly and triggers as a major upside HVF, that will be the move to end all moves. So here you had it. This was the point. If you were in any way nervous on your investment, I'm not particularly nervous on investment, but I'm not trade long. This was all longs trade. BitMEX, beautiful run up on the account, closed 100%. Finex closed, but keeping the investment. Why? Why keep the investment? Why not sell it and try pick the bottom? That bottom could come fast like the low 2. And it could snap and rally and you could miss it. It could also go all the way to 6,800. Who knows? We did in the wonderful world of SA Crypto, the chat that we gave, we had a 4.5 to 6.8 relative low 2 range that we expected. In the end, it fell below that to 4,000. Given the events in the macro economy, I consider that to have been compliant. My best guess would have been somewhere on the midpoint. We gave it that range, 4.5. I'll tweet out the chart from before the event, and I will show you what our working high 3 was, just through the double digits. You've just had it. You've just had it. And we're now on the next down leg. And for me, if you ask me for my best guess, I'm probably in the 6.5 to maybe 9 low. We've already passed the 9 already, so 6.5 to 8K for that final low one. I think we'll go a little lower. I think we'll go a little lower from here. But it may not be an easy short. We decided, or I personally decided, not to short because the super macro is so bullish for the upside. If this turned quickly and things escalated, you could get absolutely killed. In fact, I didn't sell investment either. So investment that is in, we could have saved some money if we had sold it and got back in now, but I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to be out. I feel uncomfortable with the triggering event coming. Now that doesn't mean it's inevitable because we still haven't made the low here. And after making that low, I'm expecting the next up leg to actually be quite gradual. This had quite a reasonable bit of pace to it at this juncture. And many of you might have missed that if you weren't already long. There was great structure. There was great setup there. if we clear that and pull it in. And the problem is you're missing the growth by not being in. The best time, the money's made in the sitting. I've said this repeatedly. I'm going to recommend you go and have a look on Simon's take on who not to trust in crypto. He actually doesn't get into names and is decidedly gossipy. But he would say the people from the beginning that were truly in the tech, the people that generally are more investment orientated, on most things, we say the money's made in the sitting. You can have a leveraged trade. That usually means you need to get out at some point. But we are not day traders on crypto. We're not even in the same week traders very often. Very, very rarely. The main game is to get in at a very good position and sit out a big, long, powerful move. And I'm here to tell you that as bad as you feel about the current sell-off that you never saw coming, that you would have known about if you were in the community, was expected, and we even had a fractal of a small time frame inverted HVF near the top, apart from the double top on just running the 10K after making 2 targets from our HVF and making the key level of significance that we anticipated, you could have got out 100%, and the guys that decided to in the community would have done. I've decided I'm going to eat all red all the way down, regardless where down ends, because I'm high conviction that this thing is moving up, and I don't want to risk getting confused. You get confused. Look at that chart pattern and tell me this is bullish for the Dow versus Bitcoin. And I will say you don't know technical analysis. Look at that pattern. This is the invert. I will invert this for you. This is if you put Bitcoin divided by the Dow. That is an upside technical pattern, good people, and it's going to have a final down leg, and I don't care to short that. And that is where I stand. Because it's not trying to be a thrasher in and out that makes you the money. Being properly sized, properly engaged, sitting and capturing a substantial next move where overperformance could occur, and we already have targets well through 25, possibly 27, and we are anticipating overperformance that could see a major move beyond. So that's a nice opening gambit, hopefully, just to give you guys some thoughts. I'm going to have a sip of water and I'm going to check the comments over here and see what your good people are saying. So we'll talk about the halvening and how it's almost imminent. It's the 11th and all of that. You aren't going to moon the day it halves. I don't assess that. I've never assessed that. It's a known fact. So here's the drivers for crypto right now. It's not the halvening right now. It is an effect, and it will affect supply, and it will start squeezing, but there's a lot of people holding Bitcoin. The overall global macro economy is actually the problem. The fiat debt system, that 265 trillion game, that's supposedly in so many minds a different world. There is actually an umbilical cord to this baby world of crypto, and blood is coming in and being pumped back out between there. They aren't entirely removed, because the same people playing in the baby pool are also playing in the big pool, and as the big pool dies, a lot of that cell tissue that needs to survive will come on down, and that's the game. That's the game, and that's the analogy, and that's why you can't view them as mutually exclusive markets. When the S&P fell, the speculators that were speculating in the stock market were also speculating in crypto. That's why crypto dropped. That's why in the absolute fear and deflationary moments, you can still have a down leg. And we may be due fear. If you're watching this channel, you'll know that I've called for an over 50% fall in the Spanish IBEX and indicated that most European indices will have a similar degree of pain, although that's our pick. So the others might be 30, 25. And if Europe indices are wetting the bed, you can only imagine what's going to happen globally. These things tend to be risk on, risk off correlations. Let's have a look at those comments. I promised to have a look. Mate, your shirt says 34, but you're number 1 with legit knowledge. I'm 1 ahead of the 33 degrees Masons. That's the reason for the number. We're 1 ahead of the 33s. That's it. Always like the analogies. Sniper, will you ever exit crypto totally? Is BTC, I'll answer that golden pill. Is BTC and SPY I think he means correlated. He's gone correlated. Correlated, and what does this mean for the traditional markets? So, in terms of your wealth building needs, crypto will exceed equities, in my opinion. So there, you've just heard one hell of a useful thing. You've got a pension stuck in BTC, in the FTSE 100 that is still bouncing around 7K. I went to Britain in 1999. It had just crossed 6.9 and was due to run 7K. I left Britain, and I think it was about 5.5K, the FTSE 100, when I left. I don't know. It's almost worth checking again. So you've got to remember, indices-wise, it's actually been the American indices primarily that have gained. And that's because we're in a tech-driven oligarchy, slavery world, which is all about surveillance, big data, and you are the cattle from which that data must be generated. And the biggest exploiters are your New World Order, one world retailer, Amazon, your New World Order, one internet search engine, we'll provide everything, give us your data, what are you interested in, Alphabet stroke, Google stroke, Play Store stroke, everything else, Android monopoly that should have been broken up ages ago but isn't. Your New World Order beer company, which involves SAB Miller and Anheuser-Busch merged. Your New World Order, one global oligarchical Tesla battery cars for the next infinity. No one else can compete with me. I'm subsidized to infinity. Those unicorns, beware the word unicorns, Gilead Sciences, all of that nonsense. Those are your entities that are going to go up, and those are your tech entities. And even next to the NASDAQ, Bitcoin is going to overperform, in my personal opinion. And I base that on this very structure. Technically, this chart that you're seeing, I'm bottom right corner, right there, that what you're doing. Ask yourself, is it going up or not? I'm giving you my opinion. I could be wrong. Apparently 2 people called me a scam, Tony Vase and some other guy. I had to go Google a scam by what they mean. I'm giving you my exact opinion. Apparently a scam means deception or fraud. I've never said anything here on these channels that I don't absolutely mean. I've received more emails for people wanting them to do ICO interviews for things that want to get a leg up than anything else I've seen. I've said absolutely no to them. I haven't backed a single crypto ICO. I've never done what McAfee does. I've never done what any of them do. So I can tell you, everything I tell you comes straight from here, the heart. My best assessment is the crypto market, specifically the God coin, for now, while it remains the God coin, Bitcoin will overperform equities. That means you can go, if you take responsibility for your own decisions, and if you decide I might be accurate and you feel the same way about the method and charts, and you can reallocate to be more strongly crypto. You're seeing the likes of Raoul Paul of Goldman Sachs era. Now, I think that was at 25% or 10% or whatever, from previously having nothing, moving money into Bitcoin. That is my opinion. Could I be wrong? I absolutely could be wrong. Sitting here, have I got anything to gain by telling you this? No. I'm not asking you to open an exchange with an affiliate link. I'm not asking for any payment. I don't have any adverts on this channel. I'm telling you exactly what I think from what I see. That is not deception, and it's certainly not fraud, especially if you haven't paid any money. All my programs and courses are 14-day money back on the education side, if you have any doubts about what you bought. Okay, so that's my little bugbear. I'd like to see the proof of that. It was somebody's comment. Maybe it never happened. But I find it really ironical to hear that when I'm the biggest victim. I've got people sending out emails with my picture of my face on, trying to sweet talk people saying, hey, it's the crypto sniper XYZ. I've got scammers all around that are trying to copy our high integrity profile. I have to clear up the comments from people trying to sell on my name, and it's just weird to hear that. Anyway, that's a little bugbear. You don't want to hear too much about that. But listen out and keep it real. So this is a big rejection candle. This is a big rejection candle, and it ran our little funnel. This is against SPY. We're still on the SPY. We're still on Bitcoin. We're dividing it. This is a big rejection. I'm ready to say this could well be the top. This is on the 3 days. I do unconventional timing. It's not about the day. We cut data in a day. Markets don't care, especially if they're 24/7. But that looks like a possible top. I will drop down and I'll have a little closer look, and I'm going to show you the first inverted. That was what was put in my prime sniper community to say, guys, here comes the first one. It could overperform. This could be top in. Why? Because we've been waiting for it. Why are we waiting for it? Because it's broken the broadening pattern on the way down, which is something, as I say, you'll learn about when we've got the Mark II version of our broadening patterns, and you can be taught about in our community area. The broadening pattern was broken here on the down leg. And you made for the first time, it's also basic Dow theory, by the way, you made for the first time a higher high than the previous high. That means the period for going down is potentially closed. That's it. You've gone up from there and you made a higher high. If you now go down and fail to make a lower low, we are now in an uptrend cycle. That doesn't mean the break yet. Hear me now. Even though this is a short and will probably go lower, it doesn't mean that in a week or two we're breaking, because it can go down slowly for quite a while and come back down to these levels. Remember, these numbers are not in dollar terms. I'll go back to the dollar chart for you. I know that's all you know, but I need you to open your eyes and start looking at other benchmarks and teach you something, that there's many ways to skin a cat. And if you analyze Bitcoin, you have to understand the principle of 360-degree analysis. And you have to understand that it isn't a currency yet. It's far too unstable. It's a speculative, wealth-building, underlying market for people that hope to make money out of it right now. The percent of it that is actually being exchanged for commerce compared to the fiat transactions in the Swiss system is absolutely negligible. It'll be 0.1 when you finally get a value. So that's how you need to view it. It's like trading in a very volatile equity market. So compare it to the most volatile equity markets, which would probably be the NASDAQ. So it's probably the NASDAQ. So if I jump in here, we could try find out what's the code for the NASDAQ. Let me stick it in. NASDAQ 100. Yeah, none of those. US. So I'm doing the exact same for you on a slightly stronger index. And again, you can still see we've gone an up leg, and you still took out this higher high. Even though it was a lot closer, you still took out the higher high. That's what's happened. And in fact, you're probably in a bit of a rising wedge that has had a little bit of a pippy in the pants, and that's okay. Let's just see it. There you go. Even in the NASDAQ, you could actually go up one more time and make a higher high one more time and still pull down later. So this can extend for a while. And then when we properly have a down leg, and I would say it isn't necessarily even proven yet that that's happened in the NASDAQ, you could go up one more time, as I've suggested before coming down. Then when you go into the down leg, it's still not a time to panic, even though Bitcoin will lose value. The best thing if you investment Bitcoin, now's the time to, if you can sit out this down leg, to start thinking about HODL. If you're the jittery sort and it loses $1,000 Bitcoin and it makes you really nervous, okay, get out at the next double digits you get it. If that's really you, and put a buy limit in and around the 7.5K level. Whether that's the low or not, if it runs through, it's got a decent chance of running there maybe, or watch out for key reversals that happened before. You can play that game if you want. Be careful you don't miss the train. What will probably happen though is before it does any breaking out, it is going to go boring. I hope we get that phase. I'm concerned that it might come a little quickly. The RL2 came kind of quickly. Generally, they don't do it twice. You might go boring. In other words, what happens is it starts to hang out at a certain level. Now, I've shown you a couple of index and I've shown you a new trick for you to go learn and practice. And you can see that the chart looks a little bit like Bitcoin, but maybe a little more bullish because the dollar was strong at key moments. Now you've got a new benchmark and a new way of assessing it. By the way, you can do this against gold because Bitcoin is also insurance against the fiat system. So I'll go with you on it and I'll show you on gold as well. I'll go with you and I'll show you on gold as well. Why not? So this is the kind of relative value assessment. You don't see technical analysts doing this. I don't know why. They just accept dollar. Dollar is king. Everything is dollar. Dollar's a currency. That is gold. Again, not that very different. I would say gold has been a lot stronger in the recent period. So in this case, the high has yet to run that high. Interesting. You didn't get an inverted HVF really there, just bled out the top. Remember this, guys, this is all in log scale. So if I just, it's not actually, it's in regular scale. Apologies. It looked log scale. Let's put it log scale. That's actually a better view. Apologies for that. Getting my facts incorrect. You still have a broadening pattern, and in this one, you're still in it. So if you think Bitcoin is more like electronic gold, insurance against fiat, which I think is a very strong case, you can also compare it on this chart. In this sense, gold has eased a bit as well, guys. I talked to you about the anti-fiats and the correlations. Bitcoin has kind of correlations with both gold and equity. When equity is truly scared and properly wets the bed, that correlation will assume with Bitcoin strongly. Otherwise, not so much. In between that, during anti-fiat periods, when generally there's a bit of dollar pushback, gold and Bitcoin and silver will move typically in a correlated fashion, not when there's less so with than the indices. The indices, it tends to move in the fear moments and the major risk on and risk off moments. So you've got the same structure here, but you might need a little bit more of a run. But this sell-off is not so bad in gold terms because gold has also been pulling back recently. But it's in an upside HVF. Will it reverse? I don't know. Gold looks stronger, like it wants to go up. It's in an upside pattern. So if I just get you out and I show you the gold-silver ratio, you've had silver be its all-time most expensive. So why are we talking about gold-silver ratio when this is supposed to be about crypto? Because of the correlations that I'm discussing with you. There's certain times when it sits in between certain places. And you need to think about this because it's not a currency yet. It wants to be a currency. It's too volatile. It's a speculation for wealth building tool right now. It's not a classic store value like gold. It's too choppy for that. But it can give money a lot faster than gold, and it can also dump it a lot faster. That's the volatility. In this, we called for the bull to reassume on metals as we broke this grind line right here at this key point. This is what we're showing you. And we've seen metals have a continuation-based structure set up towards the upside. And we can show you that as well. There it is. You broke impulsively, and now you're feigning back into our funnel. This is in an upside structure broadly, but it triggered and then came right back in. So you're seeing Bitcoin come back as well. You can see the correlation in this instance. So I hope some of this is helping. But for this period, while silver's outperforming, that usually means overall bullion strength, with silver, the higher beta, doing better. So you can take silver and compare it to Bitcoin. I'm not going to do everything for you. I don't want the stream to be too long. And I never looked at enough comments. And there was one question I know I never answered. Will I ever exit crypto totally? When it is surpassed as an industry, and there is a new thing that's better, lighter, burns less electricity, whatever the case may be. In other words, let's just say something we already know. Hashgraph comes to life. And I know it's not decentralized. I know all the criticisms with it. Just say something as Hashgraph. And this becomes the old tech. Tech turns real fast. What makes you super amounts of money, super quick, and when I say super quick, I mean in years, super quick, but at some point will also turn. Just like Microsoft was the biggest cap company, it then became totally uncool and fell behind by miles and miles and miles, and now is in this Bill Gates renaissance period. Same with Apple, super moon and then come back. Tech, you could fall off. Most of them don't come back unless they are blessed unicorns with a role to play in reset sniper land that I will not go into today. So that's my take. There will always be a point. If it's shown to be non-relevant and new, something that will be better, there will always be in other words, I'm not belief system orientated. I'm not interested in marrying Bitcoin. I'm interested in wealth building through it as an asset class, if I can refer to it as that, because for now it's too volatile to be a currency. It's a speculation for wealth building on the basis of financial reset in the failure of fiat systems. That is what Bitcoin is. If you want the definition for most people, truly in terms of what they're doing, not what they're saying, oh, I see this idealized world and we'll pay for everything in Bitcoin. No, right now it's a financial asset class that people are engaging in on the basis that they seek to build wealth. Most people, yes, there's tech guys that are here to build something amazing and they're driven by the ideals and that. Most people want to build wealth in a fast appreciating asset that will benefit from the failure of the reset sniper topics and the great fiat game. That's a fact for me. And anyone who sees it as differently is incorrect. It's not stable enough to be a currency, and currencies can get pretty unstable. So it's quite something to be saying. Too much beta, too much volatility. And that's Bitcoin. It's not an alt. Someone asked me about Bitcoin Cash. It was at $497 and fell to $130 in that sell-off period of Bitcoin. How the hell do you deal with that? Imagine that was your money and you thought you had $500 because you had one Bitcoin Cash and you went to buy something for $250 and they said, sir, you don't have enough money. Within a very short time. I mean, I can bring it up. And that's not a knock on BCH. That is just, it was the same for many others. That's in the top 5. You know, the others fell even more. So, you know, it's just insane. There you go. You're at 497, 495. You woke up in 5 candles, which are weekly. Within 5 weeks, you had 133. Imagine I was paying you $5,000 a month, and then you came back the next month and your salary was 1.3. I don't know. Maybe you'd be upset about that. But that's what happened. So that ain't a currency. It's a high beta speculation market. That's it. And that doesn't qualify as currency. No matter the fact that it can move money around. That's incidental. It's like a Swiss Army knife. You can pick your nose with it if you want to. But right now it ain't what it's for. But hey, if you really want to, be my guest. So that's kind of how the means of exchange is right now. Too volatile. Okay, what else have I got to tell you about cryptocurrencies and what are the people? So let's see the comments. How many of you are on? How many are like? 769 watching on a Sunday evening. I truly appreciate that. Did you come on a Sunday to check in with me? I truly value if you share and like. That's the only thing I do. No ads on this channel. I don't want it. I don't do it. You don't have to buy a t-shirt. You don't have to buy a coffee mug. They're awesome, but don't do it. And this t-shirt, it's not for sale. It's only mine. There's only one of them. So don't worry. There's nothing you have to do apart from like and share if you appreciate it. And this is the best I have. This is the best I know. Comes straight from the mind and heart as sincerely as a man can be. There is no scam to someone who is true and maintains and values his integrity. And that is us and the people who work around me. There's no one here that we want to see hurt. Even the people that bleed on the comment section and whine and say bald twat and too long and rambling and whatever. You're all good. I'm happy. It's good. Thanks for your feedback. You know what I mean? We check them all out and some of them we reply. Okay, so it's all good. So let's go back to what it is. Let's check comments first. Seattle, welcome to Seattle. Just breathe. So those charts are saying that the Dow Jones and the SPY comparative to Bitcoin are bad investments. Most things comparative to Bitcoin are going to underperform in my view. I even say gold, but that doesn't mean you should sell your gold. Gold can go to $2,500, $5,000, $6,000. That's going to be exceedingly good for you if you've got gold, and it will have still potentially underperformed Bitcoin. Are you going to be unhappy that you had a little bit on both horses and one did one? One's going to be far less emotionally taxing. You're going to tinker with it far less because it's going to be more steady in the way it goes up. The other one could be a roller coaster ride, but it's going to be shits and giggles all the way, and you might cock it up because it's going to get so wild. You're going to think you can do better, and you're going to forget everything I told you. You're going to be watching your P&L. You're going to say, oh, I'm sure that's a head and shoulders. Maybe I get out now on my Bitcoin and buy it down at the target, and then I'll make a bit more, and then I don't have to sit through the pullback. And you will cock it up because that's what humans do. And I know it because I've taught in academies, and I've watched people cock it up. I've told them, they've not listened, they've not understood, they've experienced it once or twice before, and they will do it the third and fourth time. It's called pattern behavior. So some of you are going to do it. I'm defying you to prove me wrong. I want you to prove me wrong because that means you win. And actually, I want you to win. But you're going to be tempted to do it. So the whole thing is you should look at the chart on Bitcoin and never your P&L. Once you've got your trade on, it's set and forget. The stop stays. You've got a moderate amount of leverage. The rest is investment at 1-to-1. You've got a trading account with a moderate amount of leverage. You've got a target and a stop and a real methodology that you can find out about if you care enough to. And I don't mind if you don't. We only want people who want to be with us. We've never kept a person captive. Anyone for which it's wrong, we've sent them on their way within 14 days with their full money back. So, do what you want to do. But I'm telling you how you're going to cock it up. Because I know people. I know humanity. I've seen it. And I know myself. And I have to fight hard not to cock it up. And I'm a 35-year plus veteran in terms of trading in markets. So I'm telling you where you're going to go wrong. And I'm saying, write it down. And say, I'm not going to do this. I'm telling you, you should only go 3x or 5x max. You should have a stop loss, and you should have a target of around between 25 and 27K. If you want the exact answer, we'll tell you once it's done, if you're in the community. And once all my guys are set up, who knows, we may even tell you later anyway. And then you will trade the overperformance. You'll cut your size at that level, and you will hold the rest and forget it. And you'll have the magic carpet ride, and day-to-day volatility means nothing. But it will get volatile, and you will hear stories, and people will come out and say something. We've got to kill Bitcoin, and this is wrong. And you will get scared, and you're going to read the news because it's big money now, and it's all this, and you're going to get shaken about. And you know what? We've got overperformance bands. We know when we'll close. That's how it's going to go. That's how it's going to go on crypto, fine fellas. So what are the questions? So stop loss. Where would you put your stop loss now? I'm only investment long, so I don't need a stop loss. The only time I would accept I'm wrong about everything is if we run this. So that's a long way. But you've got to remember, I've been lucky and it's done very well for me for the last few weeks, months, and some of which I've even done on leverage as well as investment. So it is a long way away, 4,000. I'm not expecting to see it go down there. There's people that say it's going to go 3 grand again. It's going to go do this. I don't think so, but we could be wrong. We could be wrong. I think that on dollar, it's popped out. On indices, it's popped out. On a fast-moving gold, it's still within. It's still within. So maybe we get a half trip to the half point, and then we pop out. So maybe there's another high. If this goes a little higher and goes 11.5, I'm going to be so glad I never sold out my investment. That's the worry you have if you sell out. So from now on, it's hodl for me, and get ready leverage. Eat the red. It's not the intraday trading or the in on Monday, out on Friday trading that's going to make you money, guys. The move makes you money. Not the size, the move. Being in for the whole move will make you the money. Don't over leverage. It will get too emotional. There's a point at which it all gets too emotional, and then you start tinkering and you always cock it up. So Francis, can you please check BTC dominance chart? Yes, I was going to do that anyway, so that's a fair request. I will get rid of BAB, which is not a great deal of history. BTC.D. So because of scale initially, I'm saying Bitcoin will have the biggest benefit initially. Once we have a top 10, and there's loads of billion market cap plus, and a few 20 and 50 billion market caps in the top 10, and Bitcoin's $1 trillion, you bet your life some of those 100 billion guys can go up 10x and take Bitcoin if they're doing something different and or better. In the same way that Microsoft got taken by Google, that Nokia got taken by Apple. It can all happen. Dominance in the tech realm is not something for the long term. It's not. It truly isn't. Don't marry a dominant tech player. It's one of the reasons Buffett for so long stayed out of it. And then he started doing like all the Israelis were tipped off to buy Apple and all of that stuff. And he's just not the guy I thought he was. But now he's broken his rules. But he can go so far as to now invest in tech, but he can't find it in himself to see cryptography money. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. And Charlie Munger has to talk about something like raping babies or some extremely weird comment that just has me thinking all the darkest thoughts about who these people are. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of their position on crypto. This could go zero. They could kill it. But then why aren't they killing it now? The only reason they could kill Bitcoin and take it to zero now, and the only reason they might have done that and not killed the monster while it's small, because that's when you kill a monster. Kill it quickly when it's small. Or own it and make it your monster, which is what I truly think has happened. The only reason they might wait is because it's diverting younger generation and some converts, maybe like me, who've putting part of in bullion and part of in crypto. In other words, they're preventing the chase up in gold physical demand by creating this new sideshow, which they'll then supersede with an even better tech that's more eco-friendly, and then we'll all chase down a blind alley. Do I think that could happen? I don't know. I think there's been too much investment in this space. I think they're going to make something of this. Carney said it's time for a crypto and the end of the dollar dominance. They start dropping hints like this is where I think we want to take us. So I think they intend to make something of this. It's open ledger. It's a surveillance money. It's what they want. So in answer to your question, I agree. Paul Tudor Jones. Now you're seeing mainstream guys, says Joe Bell, and he's right. I was reading the same article he was. Paul Tudor Jones referred to crypto as gold in the 70s. Similar market, set to explode. And technically, he doesn't have HVF method. And I'm saying technically, what he's saying fundamentally is dovetailing with my technicals. A chronic outperformance to NASDAQ, which is stuffed with control structure, oligarchical, one world order tech companies that are mopping up all the market share that SMEs currently have. As SMEs are destroyed on COVID-19 pandemic, more people now buy everything from Amazon. Get apps to order their pizza from Play Store or Apple, Mac, iTunes or whatever. But BTC very volatile, which is why it's not a currency for me. John McVeigh, you're right. Greetings to all. Randy Murphy, I'm going to eat some cookie dough. Francis, can you please give your end of 2020 and then 21 price predictions for BTC? So Jay has asked price predictions. This is the big specialty of the Max Kaiser crowd and so many of them. They all want to outdo each other in a pissing contest of throwing out the biggest number. And we're here on dominance. It's had a bump, Bitcoin, but I wouldn't say it was extreme. Bitcoin's gone down and some of the others have gone down. But during this period here, very few of the altcoins were going up as much as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin rallied, Bitcoin went higher here. During this recent period, it was going up faster. So it's back up at 67.95. It's very close to 70%. That means the rest of the coins, all added together, make up 30% of the crypto market. That's very, very dominant. That's very, very dominant. Once Bitcoin explodes, remember, it's not just about market cap, it's about liquidity. There definitely will be coins that'll go up faster. If while they're all going up, BTC dominance is dropping, I will rotate 50% into the relative strongest, and I know how to assess that. On relative strength, let's just show you something. Let's just show you all something technically. This is not deception. This is straight up relative value assessment. given countless times. Short XRP against BTC. Up top here in this curving dome was when we first ran the call. Up top here. Failure to make a new high after a spike. They threw a bunch of money at it. Down, down, down. Repeat again there at the continuation pattern. Repeat it again here on the downside pattern. These YouTubes are all on this channel. I don't delete the wrong ones. I don't delete anything. Anything that's been done on this channel is still there. Cuck calls, still there. Good calls, still there. Go and look them up yourself. This is absolutely useless from Ripple. This trade still holds. This trade still holds to this day. We've been perpetually bearish, and the guys will go, yes, but this tech and that tech. If it's might be an amazing transaction tool, might be the fastest, best, smartest tech for transaction. It's not an asset appreciation tool though. And that's what people are here for, I thought. When you want to buy stuff, maybe lastminute.com, and you want it to be super fast, super cheap, sure, go buy some Ripple. Just make sure it doesn't lose any value in the time that you're sending it. Look how it's let go of this 25 handle against Bitcoin. It was fighting to hold the 30 handle for a while. Down she goes. Bearish, convex. You've heard it most. We didn't stop beating up on Ripple. Down, down, down. And this is going to upset some people because I have some interesting fans that get quite emotional. They may be the best tech in the world. Even if they were, which I'm not saying they are, but they sure as hell don't perform very well as an asset for appreciation. Bearing that in mind. Let's have a look at it against the dollar. This, we called that upside HVF over here. We traded the Ethereum one that followed because actually Ripple went first. That structure, I'm going to have to change this to log scale because this is such a flattened pancake of a chart. Hear me now as I talk. Flattened pancake of a chart. That is it there. Let's get it. Now this is against the dollar where most people are doing valuation. That upside, and that was the end of the good news into the bull. They died from there. They never looked back. I did YouTubes on this with the grind line. I did it in red. There it is. Multiple of them. It's going to come. And we said it will run this funnel. It will undo the bullish invalidation of this funnel long time ago when it was long before going to happen. It was sitting on this funnel and that grind line. Down, down, snap back, rally. Oh, you're wrong, you're wrong. Whoops, not so wrong. New low, 11 cents. From $3.40. So let's be clear. Total 2. The market cap of alts, which will have a large amount taken on it from, and as I say, we do this and discuss this virtually daily. We're swinging our bias back to crypto. Things are coming. We won't, I'm not going to short. I'm going to sit on my investment. That's what we're saying. That's what we're looking to do. This unlogged, just so that you can see how flat a pancake chart the total 2 is. Thanks to Ripple and Ethereum, the 2 next biggest coins that are the most dominant features. Again, upside structure on the break to the upside way before for the bull market. We traded the Ethereum long in that bull market. We were bullish then. It had a very beautiful HVF Ethereum. And then we said that will break. Down, 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 bear flag, down, down, down. We said that would break. That was during the Bitcoin 6000 inverted, where everyone called the bottom. It did break. Then you came to this low. You've met that same low again. This whole period is bottoming. There is no total 2 bull market. It has never been. And I've said it countless times. That's your rally. That takes you to the 23.6% fib. That shooting star is on the 23.6 fib from that high down to the low. And then you came all the way back down. You had another rally where you failed to make a new high. You made a lower high and a lower low. That ain't a bull market. Dow theory. Lower high, lower low, not bull market. I don't know who's been telling you, your tech analyst. I don't know who's been trying to put so many of you in alts, but everybody's got an alt. Everybody wants to know about an alt. You do a crypto thing. What about this coin? What about that coin? Forget it. There might be a few high flyers that have just listed. That will go quickly and you'll never know, and you'll be caught with your pants down. Don't play that game. Forget penny stockdom. That is called flagging and grinding price behavior, and you've just broken down on it. That's your total market cap. You could visit this again. And we could have a stock market crash and Bitcoin goes down to 6.8. Where do you think that is? New low. For sure. What are you doing in altcoins? You think you're going to pick the one shining gem on the beach of beach sand? When you have the Rock of Gibraltar Bitcoin that's 70%, do that one. It's high vol enough. You're not going to handle it. Some of you are trading with leverage. You'll go into BitMEX where you could have 100 leverage on one of the highest beta things. You aren't going to hold on. You're not going to have a stop. You'll be liquidated. Most people's liquidation prices are way too close to the price action. Too much use of leverage. Too much not understanding money management principles and chasing down higher beta coins that swing even more wildly. Don't do it. Wait until they've shown themselves and have some real market cap value. You don't have to be the first. The moves to the upside will make you the money. Be in the safest, most liquid coin where you can generally always get out, that regardless what scale you are trading at, you can get out. How do you get out $20,000, which is not a vast fortune, of number 93 on the coin market cap? I've just seen it when I've, every now and then, even on Ethereum, people have been killed. There's no scale and liquidity on the exchanges anymore. That's gone. Too many of the early bird guys that thought they could trade got killed. They may have started right at the beginning when Bitcoin was $1, and they might have had thousands of Bitcoin at one point. They ended up by 17, they had 100 Bitcoin. By the end of 17 and the bull market, they had 50 Bitcoin because they were trading, even though they were trading long in the bull market. Bear market came, they got 1 Bitcoin left, 1.3, if they didn't wipe themselves out entirely. That's a fact. Unfortunately, the miners sit with the Bitcoin and the long-term hodlers. The traders have all given it away. All given it away, lack of method, access to leverage. That's your problem. So, do not be too big. Here's the final summary point, and I'll take 3 questions and I'm closing this run. Do not be too big. Have a large portion as investment, which is one-to-one, no leverage. In other words, a hodl account in a wallet in case of hacks and everything. That's your safest. Moderate leverage 3 to 5. Deep stop at a key moment if you understand the method. My guys will know where that point is. We'll be discussing it. We'll be looking for that relative low 3. And that's going to be our game. And we're going to get in when we decide that there's a decent chance of basing. We could be wrong 3 times, but we'll look to be right the 4th or the 5th, and that'll be just fine. Because the move that will come subsequently, and the fact that we won't have oversized on chance number 1, chance number 2, 3, or 4, will leave us in good shape. And once that thing starts moving, those early taps on the entry will be more than washed away. And then when it breaks and triggers the main macro pattern, it'll go far. I was going to give a shout out to a guy, I don't know who he is, but he did a proper chart, and I respect people that truly value their charting. He sounds like he's copying, he's not. He's got a sniper, he got like a thing, it's called Trading Shot. But I thought he did a decent chart here, and it's an interesting one to show. I like people that put an effort into their charting. They're truly trying to establish the skill and do something. And he's doing cycle analysis. So let's finish on this, because I did want to show you this, and I'll also I'll drop the link in for Simon's thing. I'm shocked to see a guy who is a marketeer, this guy on the top left. I'm shocked to see a marketeer that's done affiliate link deals with every single newsletter I follow as supposedly the most trusted person in crypto. I'm shocked. I don't know who wrote this article. I don't know anything about him. I haven't got anything bad to say apart from the fact this guy's done affiliate marketing with this Palm Beach story is with every gold guy. I get the same email from 10 different sources. This is a marketeer. That tells me marketeer. Maybe he's got time to also study the crypto markets as well as being affiliate marketed out or connected to the whole world. I don't trust that. I don't trust someone who gets paid for ICO pumps. I'm sorry. I don't trust people who paid for ICO pumps. I don't trust people that want to give the control structure a platform for valuing my property and forcing me to quote the value of my property to pay a higher rate and tax. If I quote it too low to minimize my tax, he's in joint discussions with a Zionist who will have the government or any party have the right to buy my property because I undervalued it for rates and taxes purposes on an Ethereum blockchain. It's no business. Property is not to made a liquid speculation asset, and government does not have the right to force me to give a price on my buy and sell price for a property. He is involved in the tech. I think he should stay away from those forces, personally. I don't know what this guy's about. Lots of very emotional stuff from Tron. CZ runs an exchange. He's generally okay, but he runs an exchange. So he has an interest. He wants Bitcoin to win, I'm sure, because it's good for him. He wants Bitcoin to go up because it'll be good for him, I'm sure. But, he's okay on his Twitter feed. I wouldn't say as a business exchange owner, he's devious in any way. I don't know enough. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion. I've seen him do good interviews. And then there's Litecoin. You sold all your coins and went in a foundation. I understand something different by foundation. Let me just say that. I understand something different by foundation. I'm not picking a fight with anybody. I just think he's doing something that's good for him. And that's fair enough. If he was in there from the beginning. Friends don't understand. Make your own decisions, make your own mistake. Don't support control structure, supporting tech. That's why I like Monero. I don't think they're going to ask you to put your property up on a blockchain where someone can buy it if you value it too low at whatever price for your taxes. Screw this. Crypto isn't here for us to be squeezed for more taxes by our control structure, tax extracting, rental seeking, get the goyim off the land, Zionist flipping state. They can all piss off. I don't appreciate that at all, and he's dead to me for that association. The minute you smell the dark side and you want to start playing with those boys, you stink, and you stay stunk. He does great work, I think, and is legitimately looking at value. Anyway, that's my opinions. I don't know much. I don't have detail. I haven't researched it, and I don't have any information that any of these people are bad. I'm just saying that's their interests, and that's what they've done. There's a marketeer in there. There's some highly emotional tweeting in there. There's some solid interviewing and real analysis. There's a lot. But I don't get a marketeer as being number 2 in my books. I think that's almost a joke. Personally, I did giggle, but I am that way. But it upsets some people if I enjoy myself too much on my live streams. So let's go back to that cycle trade and show you what I liked about it, and then finish this loom. So here's a few thoughts. I don't think exactly like this person, but I like what he's tried to do. So for me, these were bear cycles. The bits in white are bear cycles. So you can all go follow Trading Shot, give him a little bump and tell him the market sniper sent you there and said he did good charts and well done. That's the low. This is what my understanding of what he's done. I haven't even read the full explanation. So I'm just looking at the chart. I'm image driven. I should have read it in time for this live stream. I apologize. But he's saying that's the period from the low to the point of halvening, these blue periods along here. I maybe shouldn't use an orange arrow as well, given he's done that. So that's where we are. And he's saying this ties into where we are currently. We're coming into the post-halvening era after the 11th. how far might it go? Here's the assumptions that I don't agree with what he's done, but he's created a great document for discussion, and full credit to him. So just because I say I don't agree, that's markets. We have markets because one guy thinks up and others down, and I actually think he's on the right track here. I'm just saying there's points of difference, that's all. And it's nice to have as a discussion. So once again, I applaud him. The bull markets have followed halvening events because there is in time scarcity. It doesn't have to happen the very same period. You see there's a period in here where it's flat. It didn't move for a while. This is what I think is going to happen. Everyone's going to jump in, all the retail guys, they're going to get another equities crap the bed, and we're going to have our down leg. We might have our higher high. We might go one more time into double digits, have our higher high, but there's going to be a down leg back into single digits for me. Almost certainly. It's going to be some deflationary fear. How does the IBEX half? I'm assuming I'm accurate on that, but it's very good structure. It's the same quality of structure as PAA and what we did on oil. All those things happened. Okay, so we do read charts. I go technically. I care what I feel from a chart long before I think what the narrative is. Everyone else thinks they're technical, but actually it's fundamental. What's the story? Deep down there, what's the story? Oh, you see head and shoulders. I think that's going to happen there. Find me a story that's bearish. They all need a narrative. I can trade bearish just from a chart without any notion of a story and not even have to make one up because I've been doing this for a long time. So bullish, 9,000% made. So certainly I agree the percent growth will probably reduce. In this instance, 2,800 in the post cycle. Would we do 2,800? Now, here's the point that I don't think he paid credence to. This one is not a cycle up like I was doing. It's all-time high, bear, all-time high. This is a macro continuation pattern, and this is going to correlate and tie in with the deflation of the huge 263 trillion bubble. So I actually think, whilst he's saying you made the third, he's got these curved dotted lines here. That's the third, that's the second, that's the first. He said he made 3 here. And then in the second one, you made the top side of 2, and this one will make the top side of 1. I'm saying actually, you could, although this orange line is drawn is very convex, you can see it's convex, it's like that, it's slowing down. You could have a point where you kick up again. Just because it's been slowing down for a while doesn't mean you don't kick up again. It's kind of like the turbos get switched on. You're in through the gears and then you come through the rev range where the turbos come on and you can actually bump. The notion that it has to follow that convex line that was established by 2 data points, 2 previous halvenings. Since when do we do, and I mean this in constructive criticism, I'm not having a moan for the guy. When can we safely say we, on 2 data points of 2 halvenings, convexity is established? If we have the reset financially in the fiat world that we are expecting, this could kick like that. It could. I'm not here to make your wet dreams come true. I've told you unpopular things. But there is a distinct possibility. Just like I said, people are underpricing the probability of single-digit oil by a huge margin at $67. I'm saying to you, he's underpricing the scope that if this entire fiat SHT hits the fan, that a whole bunch of mania goes down. A whole bunch of desperate to get out of heavily proliferated fiats goes down. And, the gold market cap is 7 trillion. We're sitting on 200 billion. In percentage terms, that goes up faster. Trust me, it's starting from a lower number. It's just like it is. So for me, I wouldn't say it's going to be a 1 standard deviation or convexity that is done there. I think it could be a 1. It could be 100% right. It could be a 7. That's the insanity of it all. And I actually think people are underpricing that. But I'm not that guy who's saying 100. So you've asked me for a forecast for Bitcoin. That could be 100,000. It could be 250,000. It could be some of these numbers others are saying. But they've got no basis for saying it. They're just saying, throw out a big number. Yeah, so I can say it. Yeah, here's a big number. Do a technical chart like this. This guy's made a case for 61 grand. Respect to him. He said, conservatively, 61,700 on the basis. I understand why he said it, and he has my respect for at least making his case. And I'm saying, actually, you can overperform that on the basis that you probably not recognize that this is a large-scale continuation pattern, and in actual fact, you spent more time below the line here. This was very close for a long period, but we're going to pull back one more time. We're squaring up. We're going to fall behind, and then we're going to play catch-up. That's my view, because it's a continuation. So you go quiet for a bit. So fair play to Trading Shot. Got a fairly snipery looking logo there, and give him a follow. Great charting, nice dates, nice annotation. 1750 rise pre-halvening, 9,000% post. This white areas are the bear markets, and we finished that bear market on the low. I see his blue area just didn't quite seem to catch the low. I'm not sure if I've missed. Maybe if I should read his work, I'd understand what he's doing, but I'm thinking that blue area should be there on the low there. So I'm thinking this blue area would be a bit smaller, if I've understood what he's doing correctly. So it's from the high to the low, because that's what he did over there. So we are coming to a potential very green game. Make sure you get there by not doing anything stupid, and it could go down first and boring after it rallies a little bit. I hope it's boring for a while, but it might not. It might be very quick, because the outside world is going to dictate that. So I'm repeating myself. That's it, guys. 3 questions and then I'm off. Who wants to have an answer from the market sniper about crypto? That should make you excited, by the way. So sometimes I say, my reset sniper, how I talk about these guys have declared war on us with this virus. It's good to know that people are coming to kill you. The sooner you realize it, the better. I tell you pretty scary news. And I'm afraid that's how I see it. On this, I actually think the news, you couldn't have it better, but you got to wait. So a module maker up YouTube told her subscribers to buy BTC. What do you think? A module makeup YouTuber. I don't understand that question. I don't know who a module or a makeup YouTuber, I don't know. I don't know who that person is, and I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you invert the BTC dominance chart and tell us what you think? You're not going to get any great insight. It's not very patterny, the inverted YouTube chart, BTC dominance chart. I mean, sorry, getting a bit confused here with the questions, merging them. YouTube chart. We don't want to see that, do we? BTCD. You can flip it quite easily. It's a mild up market. Dominance is not epic. Bitcoin isn't being a boss. He's not, wow, you just taking charge. He's just up. This was a pretty steep sell-off. He fell out of favor for a while, and everyone was the new kings, Chainlink, Tezos, and we even traded them during that period and did all right with that because we had structure in them and Bitcoin was holding up. It wasn't doing great, but it was holding up. So this was quite a chronic topping out. It had made through 70. 70 is a key level. You should draw this level on your chart. 70% on dominance is one of your most important key level. You should leave it on there. As we start to approach 70 again, it might prove a hard take. So you might see the alts doing reasonably well, or Bitcoin and the alts much of the same. I mean, for today, for example, most are 10% down. A few of them are a little bit more. But Chainlink is 8. No, it's not anymore. It's 10. And Bitcoin's 12. So Chainlink's 2% better. The others are generally worse. Most times, on down days, the others are all worse. You've got an exception there in Eunice. That's at number 14. USD coin is a stable coin, so it doesn't count. NEO, 16, right down to 20. Apart from 1 out of the top 22, 23. They're all doing worse than Bitcoin. Ripple, actually flat, the same as Bitcoin. Ethereum, worse. Bitcoin Cash, worse. SV, worse. So the Bitcoin dominance chart, it's not super strong, but it is making marginally higher highs, marginally lower. So it did go marginally higher. Will it go higher again? Well, it got a bit stamped on when it hit 69. I'm thinking it might try tiptoe up to 70 and may get stamped on again, which means the alts, At 70, Bitcoin, maybe not. Not yet. Until we have the breakout of the big macro structure against the dollar, the big structure. Go quiet. Bitcoin will lead that. And that's where you want to be the Bitcoin heavy. And then when we get to second stage longs and the others start going up quicker, we can rotate a little bit because that bull market could last for a while. And that's when you want to get into a few high flyers. And I will still say to you, keep at least a third, if not 50% in Bitcoin. And then a quarter here, a quarter there in one, choose your best two others. If you want 3, 12 and a half or 4, 12 and a half here, 12 and a half there, keep 50% in Bitcoin. If you're really aggressive, a third. But then, you know, if it turns, you've got a lot of shit coins to sell out of. And it could get very volatile and it could shake you out of your trade, especially if there's leverage involved. So the Bitcoin dominance flipped. I never flipped it. I would normally do it on my inversion. So let's do it here. This is gold. I'd like to see Bitcoin make a marginally higher high against gold and break out of this falling. So BTC.D. For those of you interested in being part of the community and getting these updates, I've thrown quite a bit of what we talk about in the community as an idea here for you today. This is what we discuss on an ongoing basis. You can see that this has been trending down, the inverted chart. It's actually quite an interesting draw. You can see it's been trending down. This is kind of what we'd call a broadening structure. So I would expect further continuation down. It may first rally, but in the longer term, down for me. So actually, it looks still a bit bearish, but it's not falling too fast. It's kind of falling at a gradual rate, but this points to continuation to the downside. And you've had a down leg, and then you had a setup, and you had a down leg. And I think this is a broadening structure for the next down leg. So actually, that points to more Bitcoin dominance as we break, which is pretty much what I'm saying. Trade the Bitcoin. Trade it to build your wealth, not because you love it, not because you're married. So I hope you've heard it 3 times over, and you've seen me justify it technically. Should baby boomers be taking their retirements out of traditionals right now? Trying to convince my mom, want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So first of all, I can't advise your mom. She needs to take responsibility and own her own decisions. I'm not a boomer, I'm a Generation X, but I think like someone who's working for retirement because I live a lucky life where I can come and go where I want. So I have the mindset, and I will be doing it because I assess by a large degree it will outperform. However, it will not be the only thing I have. I will have gold and silver and 1 or 2 other things. So, and equities and puts and calls and spread bet trading accounts and some currency trades and other potential assets and property and all of those. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be overweight. People used to say, oh, put 5% gold, put 10% gold. I'm like, screw that. Put gold 25% for me because I can afford to do that. And this is the time for gold. Why do you want 5%? Why do you want 10%? If other things are going to wet the bread, currency holdings, cash, are all going to wet the bed and be proliferated away. Why do I want to hold those things? I don't. So I will be overweight gold and I will be overweight crypto. That's me personally. What you tell your mom, it's up to you. But I think it's a good decision for me. Zach Dems says, do you think gold and silver ETF will be safe? Get yourself physical. It's not about trading, it's about sitting. And sit on it. And you can use Bullion Vault below or choose your own. Go Google and choose your own. You don't have to if you don't want to support me that way. Choose your own. I'm okay with it. Everything is optional, guys. But don't do an ETF for me. If you're trading, fine, do an ETF. But the best money will be made in the sitting. You want to be accumulating gold, accumulating Bitcoin into any form of sell-offs. This, by the way, was a classic broadening structure on the way up that had to have a coming of age and a slowing down. We call that a hunt volatility trumpet. You can learn all about this stuff if you want to become part of our community below. Broadening up means the beginning of an end. Broadening, ascending, you'll learn a lot of stuff. Anyway, it's up to you if you want to learn stuff and you want to be able to make good decisions for yourself. Even if I disappeared, I might have to disappear. Making enemies with the Mossad. It's a dangerous thing to do. BCH is faster and cheaper to process as currency. Do you think it will rise? That's a functional comment. So Samantha, Stacy, lovely to have the ladies there. Thank you for commenting, Samantha. Extra praise for the ladies. I was told today men are mean and keep women out of the STEM sciences by creating a sexist and mean environment by someone on Twitter. I don't agree with that, but I certainly want to make ladies feel welcome. Thank you for coming on. Forgive me for all my dodgy jokes. I'm glad to have you and I will answer your question. BCH is faster and cheaper to process as currency. Do you think it will rise? So, here's the thing. Remember the beginning of the conversation. This is about speculation in a volatile asset class. I'm calling it an asset class, more volatile than equities itself, for wealth building. The one that has the brand, the liquidity, and the scale is Bitcoin. This is not a functional discussion about payment, making payments and receiving payments. In the long run, as crypto becomes more of a payment mechanism, which requires it to be infinitesimally more stable, and some of the smaller little hype coins will never be stable and there'll always be some listing. In the long run, if we get to that point, because it's not a guarantee that we get to that point, but in the long run, after lots of money has come in, there's a huge wall of money that's now committed, and it's just little bits coming in and going out at a time now, instead of a wall of money charging in and then bedwetting and everybody charging out. When we get, which causes the volatility, by the way, if you get to that point where it's far more stable and we are now assessing coins purely for what they do, it's kind of like investment cars. You buy a 1912 Rolls Royce, it will hold way more, and a Ferrari 36, and you can have a Bugatti from today. The vintage car is the one that's holding the value. But if you want to get from point A to B really fast, the modern day Bugatti will get you there. But at the moment, it's an investment tool. At the point it becomes something used for its purpose, which is actually a payment mechanism, then these things will come up to measure. But then you're going to have to compare BCH less with Bitcoin, more with Litecoin, and other fast. Ripple is actually very fast. You know, I'm not here just to hate Ripple and wind up the troll. It's fast. I've used it. I've seen it. It's gone bloody quick. Quicker than anything I've seen. Ethereum's pretty quick. The ones that are looky-likey to Ethereum will be pretty quick. So Bitcoin Cash is, when it all comes down to being who's the best payment mechanism, it's going to come down to speed, cost, trustworthiness, and who you've got on your team in terms of control structure. So I am conspiratorial, Samantha. If the rock, you know, I got this joke for you. We have a guy called Van der Merwe in South Africa. It's kind of like a standing joke. But you'd call him Paddy if you were Irish. But the joke goes like this. Van der Merwe went to the cockfighting and he took a duck. Ha, 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 ha. Okay. He's stupid. Van der Merwe's not a bright guy. The mafia was at the cockfighting. Ha, 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 ha. Van der Merwe's duck won. So the point of the joke is, if the right people, the gangsters, are backing, even the better tech can lose. That's the sad fact. If it was entirely a meritocracy, the cheapest, fastest coin should win the payment game. That doesn't mean its price will go up. In fact, it should be the most stable. It should be the most consistent and stable and rarely go up or down by much. So that if your salary is paid into it, you don't have half your salary at the end of the month or twice your salary at the end of the month. Unfortunately, you can't have the twice without the risk of the half either. So it must be the most boring from an appreciation point of view. So we're actually talking, some of the best tech might be stable coins, but tied to what? Because we chuck the dollar away. So maybe it'll be tied to a gold ounce. So there's people that have done things in the gold ounce. So you actually, there's a couple of points I'm making in terms of Samantha's question. Officially, in a meritocracy, the fastest, cheapest, quickest, best coin that doesn't have a high cost blockchain or a high inefficiency for energy to maintain should be the winner. But actually, if you've got all the right partners on board and you're scaled and the control structure decides this is our coin, many times the second best tech won. Betamax was better than VHS. VHS won because they secured Hollywood and the movies. VHS was American. They secured the movies. Guess what? Sony's better player with better, nicer Japanese quality lost. The tech lost because the other guy had the gangsters in the corner. The duck won the cockfighting. And that's the problem. So I'm not actually answering your question, but I am. I'm giving you the template to decide. You've got to see who the control structure backs. I've said to guys, I give my internal guys the Rockefeller's investment, Venrock, where they're investing. Because amazingly, a lot of what they invest in wins. Track what they're investing in. And when it comes to crypto, when you hear the names that I've identified, follow the money, that's the one that will win. To some, they think it's Ripple because they managed to squeeze themselves into an IMF conference and Lagarde nodded her head and said how nice. I don't know. I don't know if they've been anointed. They might. They're quick and fast. They could be. At that point, I'll speculate and I'll put a whole bunch in Ripple. They could underperform the whole 5 years that they've existed, everything else, and then they'll go from gazillion. The minute I hear Gates, the Venrock, known Rothschild-controlled agencies backing Ripple to be the coin for everyday transactions, I might buy it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it will go up. So you've also got to differentiate between capital appreciation and use purpose. As I've already said, the best coin for transacting should actually be flat. It's just a question against flat against what? Because we won't have a dollar anymore. Flat against a woku, which is a world currency unit? I don't know. So Samantha, it's too complicated to give you a straight answer, but that's the best I've got for you. That's the template I've got for you. Watch who backs what and what kind of people they are. Watch who's technologically the best and recognize that it doesn't mean you want to buy it. It may not appreciate. It may seek stability. I want a coin made in Japan, says Gerbal. He wants a Japanese coin because they're better quality. They make them smaller and cuter like a Tamagotchi. That's brilliant. Okay, 2 more questions. Squeezy, squeezy, Japanesey. That's why we like them. Dixie coin, Hadira, says Phil Card. Bitcoin failed to take charge in this coronavirus pandemic. Things like this only happen about every 100 years. It failed when it was time to shine, so it will never replace money. I don't think it was its time to shine. I don't think this was fiat's time to replacement fiat time. I think that's still to come. Georgette Adelaide, thank you for your kind comment. Jason Parent, world currency standard. What is this? We're waiting to see. Could be SDR coin, could be IMF coin, could actually be XRP. But I'll wait till I see it. And you know, if it's to go up, I will see it in the charts. The charts will always show you the money. If you want to trade the charts. They will show you the money before the news hits. I'm telling you that now. XMR, sir. I think there's going to be a core of people who think like me, and I've only learned to think like this recently. I think these guys have been the real deal for a long time, so I'm interested in the privacy coins. I'm holding a bit of a flame, which is a dangerous thing, because I'm going to want to see it in the chart, but XMR, aka Monero. So Georgette Adelaide, a makeup YouTuber, Michelle Fanam. So Georgette, more ladies, it's good to see you. Well done for coming out. A makeup YouTuber, so a makeup lady has been telling her YouTube guys to buy BTC. I think if you're holding for the long term, she's spot on. I don't think it's the perfect moment. I think we're going to go a little lower, but long run, if you're holding and you're going to sit tight, you're going to do just fine, I think, more than fine. Do you think gold drops in the short term still? Well, we're in an upside that triggered, we think, but it could invalidate and the pattern could fail. It's not a super great pattern for gold. It's decent. We're waiting to see. The Sunday opening, Francis, your RL3 shoot would be? I'm going for the 7Ks. I'm going for 6,000 to 7.5. maybe if we're lucky, 8K. And it can take its time, slowly. Deutsche Bank using EOS blockchain, says 1-2. That's interesting. Yeah, EOS. Okay, one more. Any other questions? Final one. Okay, I think that's it. Guys, thank you very much for popping on. We've shown you another way of looking at Bitcoin. We've shown you can value it against other asset classes. We've reminded you it's not yet a transaction tool because it's not being used in that way. It's being used as a wealth generative asset class that people are electing to invest in as insurance against fiat failure, much like gold. We've shown you a gold Bitcoin chart. We've said forget about currency until it is a currency. A little bit. Not entirely forget about, but don't just focus on the currency purpose. We've shown you someone else who does great charting. We've shown you a YouTube, which we'll put in the links, which I'll share now, the link, who to trust. These are principles. Simon's a pretty spot-on guy. I know him personally. Whoops, I'm on the wrong computer. I'll have to send it to this one. He's worth listening to. He's not into the gossip thing, so he's not really panning anybody, but you can tell subtly where he feels on it. And I think that's everything. Well done, guys. Thanks for coming on. If you want to be part of the community and you understand how we get into charts, how we call oil, how we call PAA, how we call Tolo, how we call Tilray, all shorts, all down, how we'll call Bitcoin up potentially, and you've got a small peek an idea of how we'll do it and that we expect it in the macro to play up and that you should buy us long. Other things we've done from Gulf Sands, petroleum, etc. And we don't only get it right, it's a probability game. Trading is not for everybody. We generally prefer for the educational products that you're over 25 and you have some life experience and success in life, even if you're exceedingly wealthy. And there's a reason for that. Our community is commons real. Thank you for coming on. Sleep well. Enjoy your week ahead. Watch what happens on that lira. It's going to be interesting. Is that FX emerging going to start falling out of bed? That could start a Forex ripple through other emergings. That could start to create a bit of drama. Watch Europe. I don't like the indices. That could have an effect on the euro in the FX world. Those things do affect. They do affect. There is an umbilical cord. The baby is affected by the mum who's drinking wine and taking opium. I'm sorry, it's the way it works. Sorry, mums, I have to use that analogy. Okay, catch you later. Thanks for watching. Links below if you want it. And otherwise, all the best. Nothing is recommendations. This is entertainment only. Bye for now, guys.